study and know what they're doing as on the board, I would recommend that you entertain the idea of term limits again. I don't think it's, if you look at Congress and you look at what's happening in our country, I don't think having somebody in office for their lifetime is beneficial to the voters or to the people in this country. And I definitely don't think that it's beneficial to the people in this district. So if you would consider that again, I think it would be fantastic. Thank you.
Just a point of quick clarification, and Alan's not here, our counsel's not here, but you remember.
Oh, he's on Zoom.
Alan, can you remind us of how our board cannot vote ourselves to? It has to be done through the initiative or legislative process.
President Schaefer, apologies. He just dropped offline again.
I can address that, Mr. President. Yes, we did have this subject to the board. It was on an agenda item, and we brought to the board's attention that board term limits are decided by the public. It has to be initiated by signatures, signature gatherings, and then it goes to the county clerk's office, and then they put it on the election. So it's not the board cannot determine term limits. It has to be decided by the public.
Point of clarification. Okay, seeing no other public comments, we will move into our items of study, and I'll turn that over to our general manager. Or will I turn that over to Marissa?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll turn this over to Marissa.
Covering 4 different route areas. Contamination in the recycling cart ranged from 13 to 31%, and in the landfill cart, it ranged from 34 to 43%. Mike Ballier, president of City Green Consulting, is here to provide an oral report of the study's findings. Thank you, Mike.
Morning, Michael. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Gotcha.
Get this up here. Progress, not perfection, is how I would summarize it. Unfortunately, it was moderate progress. The 2 primary challenges we experienced before remain, and that's too many recyclables in the trash cart, and over 1/3 of the recycled cart content are trash, food waste, or green waste, primarily trash. The best route that we reviewed, west of Newport between Victoria and 18th, had 11% trash in their recycling cart. Not bad. 2.3% food waste. Really, no food waste should work its way into the recycling cart. So the trash cart, 12.61% easily recyclable items. Even though they did a great job getting things in the recycling cart, they still have that problem of leaving recyclables in the trash. And that percentage would jump to 23% if we count wet paper and cardboard. The way we do our survey, we don't know if that paper's wet before it goes in. So we're assuming, hey, it shouldn't go in the recycling cart. But frankly, a lot of that material would be great if it could go in the organics cart and not in the recycle cart. So the 3 other areas surveyed all had challenges, 22, 29, and 31% contamination in the recycling carts. But more importantly, these routes had 35 to 43% easily recyclable items in their trash carts. An additional 10% was wet paper, so you really had more recyclables and wet paper in there than would be ideal. So again, I said it's a slight improvement over the studies we did early in 2025, but we're a long way from the recycling rates that you guys achieved with your 2-cart program. Easiest way to look at this is to get to those levels. The weight of all the trash carts collected compared to the recycling, the organics carts, the trash carts need to be about 20% less. Right now, your trash cart collections are 60%. Looking at September and October, 60%, 58.7% of your weight is in the trash cart. And that trash cart is going straight to the landfill. So even if everybody was perfect with putting things in the other carts, the best recycling rate you could hope for is 39 or 40%. So again, like I said earlier, I think the focus needs to be not so much on these materials are acceptable here, and I know CRNR is probably going to say you're giving me a sorting headache, but again, if it's dry, give recycling a try, and let's try to get that wet paper to the extent they can accept it in the organics container, and then hopefully those two containers fairly quickly get to a higher weight than the recycling containers, which are all going to the landfill. And that's my summary and open for questions.
Just a quick question. The stuff that's in the landfill cart that should be in the recyclable cart, is there any one commodity that's predominant? I mean, it sounds like paper and cardboard to me.
Paper and cardboard and also containers. You know, and again, glass containers, things like that are heavy. Plastics, not so much, aluminum, not so much. So you're correct in saying it's a lot of paper, it's a lot of cardboard. Again, it seems like some residents are still treating that recycle cart as an extra trash can. I think that's where it comes from because those are clearly bags that were in the kitchen and they have food and stuff in it. So that's still an issue. But again, just looking at the overall picture, I think the focus needs to be, hey, folks, we need to get more weight in the recycling and organics cart than the trash cart. And got a bit better, you know, 3%, 5% better, but they need to be 30% better.
I don't know if this is a trend across the state, but Cal Recycle eventually is going to say to us or to all the jurisdictions, you're not meeting the goals. I mean, we're not, obviously not the only entity that's having this problem. I'm sure everybody is that's trying to meet the Cal Recycle stuff.
Well, to me, it's like squeezing a balloon. Hey, we got to deal with these organics, so let's do this. You know, mixed waste processing, we're going to set a very high standard of 75% organics recycling. So a program that you had that was very effective, 61% kept out of the landfill, that's no longer allowed without jumping through a bunch of costly hoops. So it's a problem statewide. You know, source separation creates better materials, but it's still a long haul to get everybody to participate at the levels they need to match what was a very successful two-cart program.
One big, what I'd like to ask staff is, how many of each type of cart do we allow the residents to have?
How many of each type of cart? Is that the question?
No, we allow 2 organic carts
2 organics, 1 landfill, 1
trash
recycling.
cart,
Yeah.
and
One recycling, 1 landfill, and 2 organics. That's standard service in 35, 65, or 95 gallon. And then they can elect to have an additional cart for $10 per month if they need an additional cart.
I talked to a couple of my neighbors, and they say they're not going to comply with our present request because we took their extra trash cart away. You know, and we had trained people for years to have 2 large trash carts. And, you know, I can only encourage them, to follow the present policy. But I don't think it's going to happen with the neighbors that I've talked to, unless we can provide them with an extra trash cart. So the trash is the problem in the, The trash is the problem in both the green waste cart and the recycle cart.
True. That is a problem, but I think the greater problem is overall people defaulting to put things in the trash still. So regardless of, you know, how you do that, again, that's another squeezing the balloon. Let's say, okay, we give them a 65-gallon trash cart and two 95-gallon recycling carts, we're going to have more contamination in the recycling cart. So again, I think it's educating. If it's a dry item, I don't care if it's on this list, put it in the recycling cart, because now it has a chance to be recycled. If you put it in the trash cart, it's going to be buried in the landfill. It will never be recycled.
My point is, I think we erred in taking away their second trash cart. That trash now goes in the carts that they have.
Yeah, and again, I think the wet cardboard and paper that they identify as trash, if we can get that in the organics cart, that should alleviate that problem a bit.
Yes. Well, I think we're early in the process. I think most jurisdictions that have had 3-cart systems don't do any better than 50% diversion, so to speak. It's rare.
It's a
rare.
challenge. It's a challenge. Agreed.
No, I think from the very beginning of the recycling era, if you will, I think we made a mistake. And I remember being at meetings with the public and saying, people, well, does this one go here? Where does this one go? And I remember us saying, if you're in doubt, put it in the landfill cart. We did that. We said that. So we need to change that attitude as well. When in doubt, put it in the recycling cart, I guess.
And it's got a chance.
Then it's got at least some chance of making it. So that's a minor component of this. I don't think it's the major reason. If people, it would just talk about the wet paper, like you were talking, that should go in the landfill cart, right? Or that's where it's going. But if they put it in the recycle cart, doesn't it contaminate some of the stuff in the
anything
recycling
wet in the recycling cart is bad. The advantage with your system, and Mike can correct me if I'm wrong, is that AD system can handle wet paper being ground up with
Okay.
the other stuff. Paper is not an issue in the organics cart. So if you can get the wet paper there, it's heavy material because of the moisture. Put that in the
But it can
organics
still be
cart, the
processed.
organics weight will go up, the trash rate will go down by 10+%, just focusing on the wet paper.
Mike, do you do any other composition studies in other cities?
I used to do a bunch. You guys are the only folks I'm still doing it for, but
Getting old and can't handle the workload anymore.
Oh my
there's
gosh.
a lot of other stuff to do, and this
Yeah.
is a niche, but yeah, I've done it before, and typically, historically, there's 22% recycling cart contamination and 20 odd percent green waste cart contamination. So you're not that far off the historical averages. But again, you've got a very high bar that you set for yourself previously to try to replicate. So it's going to take, I think, a little bit out of the box thinking and marketing to get people to flow more materials in the carts that will be recycled.
I have some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, thank you. This is obviously a big focus of ours right now, is seeing a little bit more than just marginal improvements. And I'm really curious to hear about your recommendations that I was reading in the staff report. So, we're sending educational letters and guides, and we also invested in a really cool plugin on our website. But of course, people are just having a hard time transitioning. And I'm kind of thinking it's one of those that might have to get ugly before it gets pretty situations. But it says here that you're recommending expanding contamination cart tagging and or service refusal for highly contaminated carts. Can you talk about that recommendation? And
Yeah, I think, getting into, we're going to fine you for contamination and all that. I think the same awareness is done with that red tag. It's like, somebody's watching. I need to change my behavior. So that's why I like tags better than fines. And then the most inconvenience to the resident isn't paying a contamination fee. It's, I got to empty out my recycling cart that has a bunch of junk in it because they won't pick it up.
Yeah.
Because it's clearly contaminated. That's going to create, other issues of complaints and, all of that. But I think those two steps are more effective than, charging a contamination fee and less headaches, I think, in the long run.
Yeah, I think we're debating, or at least for me, I'm debating on like, at what point would it be wise to start phasing in a different incentivization strategy for our customers, whether punitive or rewarding. So I think that's great. I would love to see like the longer time range on these reports too, or do you not have access to that data yourself since you didn't conduct?
Well, I've been doing studies for a few years, but it was your 2-cart program. So your 3-cart program started fourth quarter of 2024. So this year is kind of a key year to see how much the needle moves. And again, it moved a little bit, but again, back to your last question, in this industry, there's a thing called the 80-20 rule, and I think it applies across the board. You have 20% of people that are probably the ones that are making the contamination in the recycling cart high or putting a bunch of recyclables. And so again, the most egregious cases where clearly you're not trying at all, red tagging or eventually not collecting. It's those 20% should be pretty clear at the curb when you're picking up.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing the like longer timeline comparison starting in March 2025.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
when March and April we did the first batch, and then September, October, and then we'll do another probably March and April to finish up this contract period.
Great. Yeah, when CR&R came, I gave similar feedback that I want to make sure we're noting when we do a change in our customer engagement to see if that's actually moving the needle in like any meaningful way. So I'll say the same thing to you, like ensuring that you're collaborating with staff on like at this point in time, something positive went out to these customers and confirming that's true and seeing if there's any correlation. And then when we do eventually green light some type of tagging or punitive measure, I'd want to make sure we are able to track that and see if that actually makes a difference either. And then we can kind of weigh if it's worth pissing off customers.
That's something that staff can do. Yeah, we
Awesome.
can look at education that's going out and how that ties into the studies and everything we're doing.
Yay. Yeah. And I know this is kind of rudimentary, but I'd love to see like a PDF attachment of what's getting sent too, just so we can see that. I don't think I've gotten it to my house. And then finally, I was just going to say, I think $750, I think the price point for this study is totally reasonable. And so I appreciate the modest investment and what we're getting back on this.
And also thanks to CR&R, they do provide sorting staff that's experienced on their sorting line. So
Yeah.
well,
You go to Stanton?
Mhm.
Nice.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is the city, is this, so the state finds out that we do 35% instead of 75%. Is the district at risk or is it the city's risk? The city, I think, makes the report to the state. We do not.
Well, they've transitioned with the SB 1383 era. You're a local government that's under the SB 1383 mandate.
Yeah.
The thing I will tell you now is that they have a different focus. They're focusing on implementation of programs. They're focusing on a lot of things. So the diversion rate has kind of dropped down on their areas of focus. I think that may transition when they see, hey, we've got a lot more stuff going in the landfill. We need to shift back to not just, are you putting programs in place, but how well are they working? How well are you monitoring them? So I would say compliance-wise, you've got a good monitoring and education program. You're doing route reviews and composition studies, so you're really doing more than 95% of the jurisdictions to stay on top of what you're doing. So I'd say you're going to be seen in a good light despite the recycling levels.
Can the driver determine contamination level?
I would say, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, telling the difference between 20 and 33%, no. But seeing those 20% of the worst where there's trash bags on top of the recycling cart, so you see cardboard boxes overflowing the trash cart.
So they can have some input on that.
I think they can find the egregious issues.
Concrete and.
Yeah.
I bet if we took these studies and looked at the demographic in each one of the areas, I'll bet if the ones that have the higher amount of no contamination, I said that backwards, you know what I mean? I bet that demographic in those areas is a younger demographic than it is in the ones that have less participation. And I think the younger demographic, especially if they have a bunch of kids, their kids know how to my grandkids know how to recycle. I'm on the board of directors sitting up here, and I still scratch my head sometimes. But I bet if we were able to get a demographic component, and I think some of us who've lived in this town for longer than we want to think we've lived here, I bet we could tell you guys the West Side is a younger demographic than Mesa Verde, for example. It just that I don't know why I thought of that, but it's just the younger people get it because they're used to doing it. They've been educated more than some of us old timers. The other thing I had, I wasn't pointing at her.
I know you did.
Definitely wasn't pointing at her. I'd mentioned, I think at the last board meeting, the city of Brea is now instituted their fining program, apparently. And I don't know how old they've been, or how long they've been doing it. Do you have any insight, or do you know anything about what Brea is doing?
I don't. I could check. I know Matt Cuevas, who used to be with the city of Irvine, moved over to Brea, and I think he's heading up that department and those efforts. So I could investigate on that.
I'd just be curious to see. Maybe it's too new into their program, but as they move along with it, I'd be curious to see how they're doing.
Yeah, it would probably take a while. And again, I think nobody's done a real study to see red tag versus fining or refusing to collect versus fining, which is the most effective to change behavior. I would argue the last option, hey, we're not picking up your container, causes the most inconvenience, and we like to avoid pain as humans. So now all my friends who live in your district are going to call me and give me an earful. But
I think that's a really good point. Refusing to pick up is far more effective, I think, than slapping a $35 fine on you. So that's a good point.
Can I clarify something? So you're saying that refusal to pick up is more effective than?
I think that's the most effective. Again, it creates the most inconvenience because now you have to take stuff out of your cart and put it in the right container.
Right. Yeah. I just want to avoid fining. I think it's not going to go over that well. So, all right.
Like your HOA finding. Okay.
Actually, I kind of want to add on to your demographics comment. I'm not sure if we have ever sort of cross-referenced. Have we ever cross-referenced? I'll just start there.
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, cool. So, in the interest of saving money, the city has something called the City of Costa Mesa Tapestry Map, and I know about it because it's in the open space master plan. And it's even smaller than voter precincts. Like, I don't know how they specifically divvied this up, but they put really small pockets of our neighborhoods into different categories. And out of the four, it looks like number three performed the best. So that's, you guys are right. It's a west side, sort of up to Canyon Park neighborhood. And they're in the 13B tapestry category, which is family extensions, which is average age of 29 and a half, average income 40K. Percentage of Costa Mesa households is only about 14%, but it's young, diverse, hardworking families with children, multi-generational households. Some may be bilingual, most are renters.
So you validated what my wild thought was?
Yes, like, and we didn't have to spend more money to figure that out. It already exists. It's just buried in some government document that belongs to the city. So if there's any way that we could use this data, I think, once again, going back to like figuring out what's working so that we can avoid fines, who's it working for? Apparently renters are doing a good job, so I'm proud of that. Yeah, just wanted to share that with you and for the group conversation.
So one thing about not doing fines, and I think we have to be cognizant of this, is 1383 requires fining. If I remember right, it's mandatory as part of.
Not for residential contamination.
That was only for commercial.
Commercial.
Yep. Okay, good. Okay.
Well, the last thing, again, I love the demographic analysis, what you might consider doing in the future, because right now we're trying to get a sampling of your entire area, but you might focus on, in your first survey, if a certain area is really bad, stick with them throughout the year and see, how the education is working there, how the actions are working there, to see the improvement on that same route over the year.
You're familiar with the study that Director Wright mentioned? The city study?
No, they've been putting in a lot of technology lately, so
That's a very niche document that I wouldn't expect someone to know about. But of course, it was probably like 6 figures plus that the city put into that document. So I more so think it would be good for our staff to be aware of it too. So I wouldn't expect you to know about it.
Good.
Looks like the worst was like a upper East Side neighborhood. Whoops. So I'll look into what tapestry mode they're in too.
Okay, any other questions for Mike or for staff? All right, great presentation as always,
right,
Mike. Thank you
thanks.
so much. Appreciate it. All right, we'll move to item number 2, the code enforcement report. David.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, President Schaefer, members of the board. I'm here to present my report for the month of December 2025. This report summarizes major points for 3 ordinance enforcement topics covering scavenging, graffiti, and trash container enforcement. For the month of December, the CMSD code enforcement officer focused his efforts in patrols in various parts of the community. The goal is to identify and deter instances of scavenging and residential trash carts left within public view. In the month of December, the district saw a number of complaints filed with the CMSD code enforcement staff regarding scavenging activity. Activity in the city, as with most scavenging complaints, the alleged violations take place in the early morning hours. In order to address residents' concerns, the code enforcement officer is patrolling the streets by 6:30 a.m. Included below are instances of scavenging that were detected while the officer is investigating specific complaints. I encountered 3 scavengers in the month of December, 16th Street, Continental, and Knox. Any questions on that so far? It was a slow month. I had taken some time off for the holidays.
The weather, I'm sure the weather that we had probably deterred a lot of activity.
It's possible. Trash container enforcement. In the month of December, there were a few customer complaints reported at the district headquarters regarding trash carts in public view. The following a list of locations where trash cart violations were found and addressed by our courtesy notice process. 122 carts in public view that I saw in the month of December, listed by the streets and how many violation tags were on that street. Any questions on that? Sir?
Do we have any do you have any historical overview of, we've been doing this for quite a long time.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering if the data could be analyzed to show,
Problem areas?
which particular areas stand out the most, or residences stand out the most.
I could say both sides of the town, actually, east side, west side. Not your neighbors. Uh, yeah, fortunately, Santa Ana and Orange, with the way layouts of properties are, we have some people that, it's kind of a problem, I guess, to put their trash cans back, but no excuses.
Well, there's 122 carts in view this month, and, it wasn't a full month, as you said. There's 23,000 residences. So,
Very low if you look at the, the amount of, residents. I agree.
appreciate what you do.
Thank you, sir. That'll conclude. Any other questions?
You guys recall what we discussed last month about like an additional possible direction of work we were open to sending him into? Was it about overflowing bins? Do you remember last month
Lifting lids, yes, ma'am.
we started talking about just being open-minded to approving you to do additional things while you're patrolling? Was that all we discussed though?
That was it.
Okay.
No directions have come from there so far.
Yeah, of course. Just wanted to bring that back up. Food for thought.
That'll conclude for December 2025. Happy New Year to all.
Thank you, David. All right. Item 3, consider appointing one person to the Citizens Advisory Committee. Scott?
I think we missed item 3.
Three, Discovery Cube. Discovery Cube.
On what I'm looking at, it says number 3.
Yeah, number
Consider
3.
appointing one citizen.
Must have gotten swapped on the online version.
I don't. Even shows up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there.
It doesn't matter which way we go. I mean, but. All right, so let's talk about the Citizens Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Today before you are 9 applications that have been brought forward for the one vacancy that currently exists on the CAC. This is a matter that was brought to the board at the last board meeting and brought forward to this meeting. So it is now your opportunity to review, discuss, and make an appointment.
We are taking action again this morning to appoint.
Yes, sir.
Board?
Do we have any?
Do we want to hear comments
Yeah.
first?
I will get to that. I just want to make
Okay.
sure there were no questions from the board first. Okay, so then we'll go to the public comment part of the agenda item. And I know we have a couple of you that are here with applications. So if we can, I'll take public comment from either of you if you'd like to do that. Go ahead. I know we don't have a card, but I'm not going to. Okay.
Wrote one out.
You have one. Okay.
He
You give
wrote
that
one out.
to the clerk. That's okay.
Let's take a look.
Thank you.
I think you should follow the protocol.
We'll follow the protocol. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right, good morning, Chair Schaefer and Board. My name's Craig Preston, live here in Costa Mesa near the police stations. I think I'm not sure what district that is, but was here last time and glad to just keep learning. Sue had mentioned last time of how it might be good for applicants to read the handbook. I had not read the handbook, so I found the handbook and read it, and enlightening to see the many ways we do this and the roles of a CAC. So yeah, glad to have looked that over and still would like to contribute and help out. I understand you have 9 applicants, so I'm glad you've got some enthusiasm there. And I heard there's maybe 2 more seats coming up in April. So yeah, I know there's opportunities to be involved, and glad to be of service if I can be. Craig Preston here. I live in Costa Mesa. I'm engineer by training and a CFO currently up in Anaheim, and moving to a different stage of life, so I'll have more free time. So I'm looking forward to be involved. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. We appreciate you being here. Go ahead.
Merrick Roberts, a longtime Costa Mesa resident. You can look at my application there. I've served on the Fairview Park Steering Committee for 4 years, where we've done a lot of great work earlier this decade, including the recent approval just last year by the City Council of the Fairview Park Master Plan update.
Mhm.
So if you're familiar with Fairview Park, it's a gem, and it's going to get better and better in the next years and decades. Here to serve you. I live walking distance. I would love to walk here for the study sessions, for the Citizens Advisory Committee meetings, and of course your Board of Director meetings as well. I'm really encouraged by my interactions before with staff, before about the introduction of the 3-cart system, and what I've heard before and read about the board working, that there's open-minded free thinkers here, and that this district is doing good things, and I like to be a part of that and make it even better in a number of regards. If you see, like my item number 1, what we know is going to happen in this decade and following, the electrification of vehicles, for example. I know you have a few. I'd just like to be a part. That's sort of my jam, my personal interest. Also, just to give you a little bit of my perspective on how I can help, regarding the issue this morning, you were talking about you want to resist fines. I saw 2 nodding heads on the end, and everyone else, and Mike, Mr. Schaefer, and other ones talking about the issues of how do we get a higher percentage. There's the stick, which is a fine, then there's the carrot. Our household, and I know at least a few of our neighbors, because I walk our deliveries Wednesdays, usually afternoons now, which is fine. I usually walk the neighborhoods or drive or whatever Tuesday nights and Wednesdays, and I see what's out as far as what carts are there being picked up on a regular basis. I could tell you that if the gentleman here, code enforcement, was driving around the last couple months, our household only has put out generally 3 carts. 1 small, it's 35-gallon black lid landfill cart, and 2 35-gallon recycle carts. Those recycle carts are full. And organics time to time as well. We have all native plants, so we don't generate a whole lot. The carrot is this: offer us a slight discount on that grid of opportunities of all the three counts. Say, oh, you only have 1 landfill cap. Do you agree to only have 1 35-gallon, which is about a third of what normal allocation for it is? Well, you get a $3, $10 discount or whatever every quarter when you charge. I think that would be quite the incentive for a lot of people, and I would love to tell my neighbors, like, throw out less and you pay less, something like that. That's just where my head's at, and I'd love to help that out and be a recipient of it too. And I have another idea in there as well, because there's a little confusion. It's actually, and I think CNR, just a correction, was we were charged for 2 carts for recycling. We had 2 35-gallon ones, and we were told in this room a couple times during those town halls that you get 2, but they can only be 2 small ones. And then we were charged, and we brought it up to someone at staff, and they corrected, sorry, my bad, there's like 6 of you that only have 2 of the small or recycling carts, and most have the 65-gallon, what have you. I apologize, but the devil's in the details, and I, believe me, I sometimes enjoy getting out those details, because this is important. You have a lot of residents, but I like simplicity, keep it simple, stupid. One of my ideas is to possibly have all the same allocation for each of the three categories now, up to 100 gallons. You want a 90 gallon, you want a 65 gallon, you can have a 65 gallon and one 35 gallon, what have you, or you can just have like two 35 gallons like we have, which is enough. I would love to have a bigger two or recycling carts, 35 gallon and 65 gallon, because we're recycling so much. So that's just where my head's at, and I like to help continue making things better here in Costa Mesa and for the sanitary district. Look forward to your appointment, hopefully. Thank you. Are there any questions for me? Anything about my background? Anything else?
I think we've got your resume, so that should take care of it.
Well, that's not my resume, but I could.
Well, your application.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have another public comment. Sue?
Hi, again, Sue Lester. I'm speaking obviously as a resident, but also as the chairperson of the CAC, but not on behalf of everyone else on the CAC, just myself. For these kind of committees, when you look for volunteers, they show up for one of three reasons. They show up because they're interested, they show up because they care, or they show up because they want a line item on a resume to run for a higher office. We've seen it over the years. I would hope that out of the 9 applicants, you would consider appointing one of the 2 gentlemen that came. They're here, they care, they're present. That's the biggest part of the battle. We had several people apply, and I'm hoping that Director Schaefer, the board, will encourage whoever does not get appointed today to reapply for appointment in a couple of months when there's going to be several positions opening up. In terms of all things being fair, I think either one of these gentlemen are a good choice for 2 different reasons. That's my sheet here. One of them, Eric, I believe, lives in District 2. On the CAC currently, every voting district has 2 representatives, except for District 2. So just keeping all things fair and taking into consideration that you want equal representation from all the districts on the CAC, I would lean toward Eric. On the other hand, the first time this was on your agenda, the only person that showed up was Craig. And I had encouraged you guys to just appoint the only person that showed up last time, and you continued it, and which is good because now we know there's 2 people who are legitimately interested out of the 9. So for that reason, if I'm looking at who has shown already that they're interested and will continue to show up, I'd lean toward Craig. So I know I can't thank them directly because I'm talking to you, President Schaefer, but I would hope that you would thank the 2 gentlemen that have applied and encourage them to apply again because we have a great committee. And when I applied almost 8 years ago now, I didn't know anything about the district or about wastewater or anything. And now I know a lot. And it's kept me interested, and I actually care about what's going on. So whenever we can get more people like that, we need to capitalize on any opportunity to keep encouraging them to maybe show up at meetings even if they don't get appointed, so they can get an idea of what they're dealing with. Because at the end of the day, like I said, a volunteer shows up because they care. People who are getting paid a lot of times just show up because they're getting paid, and there's a big difference. So like I said, I hope you'll thank them both on my behalf. Thank you.
All right. No other public comment requests. Board?
I think that we should select one of the 2. I think that's a good idea.
Agreed.
Well, I'd like to nominate Eric Roberts for 2 reasons. The main reason is to give some balance to the districts. I think Sue Lester brought up that. I find that District Number 2 has no present representatives according to the staff report. So I would like to nominate Eric Roberts as to fill the present position as a CAC member.
I'll second that based on other people that submit names.
Okay, we have a motion to appoint Mr. Roberts and a second. Any other discussion? Then I will call for that question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Roberts, you are appointed to the CAC. And without encouragement, I had planned on encouraging everybody else. And as part of our follow-up to this, to remind all of the potential candidates that we do have the openings coming up. And Craig, we'd certainly hope that you apply. We appreciate you coming to both meetings very much. And with that, we'll handle the paperwork. All right, congratulations. I was just going to say, you have a meeting tomorrow night. Please don't forget it. Okay, now we can go back to item 3. You're right, on the online version, it's reversed, but if I'd have looked at the paperwork. So Discovery Cube.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So the district allocated approximately $30,000 of SB 1383 local assistant grant funds for an educational consultant to go to schools in the district service area and provide SB 1383 composting organics education. In February 2025, the district entered into a contract with Discovery Cube to conduct assemblies for 1,850 students. The staff report before you includes a list of assemblies that have been conducted to date, as well as those that are scheduled for the coming months. As of the date of this report, Discovery Cube is expected to expend a little over $17,000 of the $29,600 contract budget. Discovery Cube is currently conducting additional outreach to schedule more assemblies to fulfill that contract amount before the contract termination date of March 31st. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
How many assemblies have they had?
There have been 4. Let me check my staff report, but I believe 4 have been conducted, yes, to date.
Schools also.
I'm sorry?
Can you list the schools that are?
Yes, so they did 3 at Whittier Elementary, 1 at Adams, and then they currently have 6 scheduled at Victoria, Paularino, Killybrook, Whittier, Sonora. And those are scheduled for the end of this month and then through February and March.
Will there be additional ones coming?
That's what we're hoping for. So they're actively working on outreach to schools. I'll be meeting with them again, I think next week, to go over kind of an update to see where we're at. But the hope is that they will be able to schedule enough assemblies to fulfill that contract amount.
But
by
isn't it up to the
termination.
school to request it?
So it's up to the school to accept the
Okay.
and schedule,
Okay.
but they're doing outreach to make sure that schools are aware. They're reaching out to schools in the district and private charter, any school that's in our service area.
It was curious to see Whittier on there. They're not the biggest in population from a grammar school standpoint, as I understand it, but it's encouraging to see them be that aggressive. So it seemed when the program was introduced to us, weren't they focusing on 3rd and 6th? Wasn't there a certain grade?
I believe it's 1st through 5th. They have like different types of assemblies based on the grade. So as you get into the older grades, you're looking at like a little bit more detailed information, but they do offer it for 1st through 5th graders.
Okay.
And then it's up to the school to determine if it's going to be an assembly for one class or for like all of their 3rd graders or that sort of thing.
I mean, it looks like Whittier's trying to get the whole school educated, which is fantastic.
Based on Director Wright's input earlier, is the present focus, who determines the present focus of the schools that they contact?
Who determines which schools Discovery Cube? So we provided them with a list of all of the schools that are in our jurisdiction. So it's essentially the same list of schools that we use for battery recycling minus the middle schools and high schools since it's elementary only. But we provide that list and then they're conducting the outreach to those schools.
Is there any way to get better focus based on the study that Director Wright mentioned earlier?
Targeting
Not like the
neighborhoods.
little pockets are smaller, but they are within within certain schools' purview more than others.
I mean, yeah, these are all West Side
Yeah,
elementary schools, so I was gonna ask if so I spoke to some school board members about the battery program, because I was like, why do certain elementary schools not participate? And the response I got is it's pretty much up to the principal. So what's the feedback you've heard about schools who don't want to participate and why? Because clearly there's sort of a geographic.
I think it
Fee.
really comes down to time availability, curriculum. If they've already fulfilled their curriculum requirements with other programs or projects or assemblies, then they may not be interested. Also, just individual scheduling if a teacher has the availability for it. I haven't specifically heard anything from schools in certain areas as to why they may not over others, but that's the general consensus, is that it just comes down to time.
And this is basically a
curriculum.
free program for them.
Correct. to
And
the
it's paid
school.
for.
Yeah.
Yeah, something I've noticed in conversations with those school board members and the fact that we obviously share school district Newport Beach is like the PTAs are very powerful at fundraising and planning extracurricular activities and events. And so it kind of makes sense to me that the West Side schools would be more welcoming to something that's paid for because they don't have that fundraising power that your Newport Beach schools have, for example. Honestly, probably East Side schools as well. But that's the only like question mark I have here, but I think it's amazing that it's growing, we've got more schools, and at the schools that did it last year, aka just Whittier, I don't think Adams is scheduled yet for this year.
Adams is
Oh, it
the
is.
school that just had theirs last
Okay.
week, I believe.
Awesome.
Would it be worthwhile to talk to Discovery Cube and see if at a future study session, they come back so that we have two new directors that don't know or haven't seen the program. I was really impressed that day that she was here to describe. I think you guys would like to see this program, and can you reach out maybe and see if we can do that as a future agenda?
I'm sure they'd be happy to attend.
I did chat with them at the Eco Expo.
Good.
So that was great. But yes, I love the Discovery Cube, so I would love to hear from them.
No, I've only been there once, and it's a pretty cool place. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the stuff they do there, especially the Anaheim Ducks exhibit was really.
It's
I
fun
got-
for adults.
I got to take a hockey thing and slap the puck, and it was pretty cool. Other than that, I mean, Waste Management has a huge presence there.
It does, yeah.
That was really nice to see. So if you could do that, I think that'd be worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that'd be smart because then when I'm talking to board members or principals or even PTA moms can speak to it. Have you heard about this? So
You ever speak to the principal at Costa Mesa High School? Because they've never been a part of this program.
well, yeah, is this targeting elementary
It's just
school
for elementary
unfortunately?
school.
Okay.
Well, the battery program?
The battery recycling, so we reach out to all of the schools in our jurisdiction. We send out that invitation and follow up, and then it's just up to the schools if they want to participate. So we would have sent them a request.
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. But they've never participated, like Estancia is doing really well right now. Because I gave them a lot of batteries.
Okay.
What do you use all the battery? You give a lot of flashlights or something?
No, I get donated to me, and then I give them to the school.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
About this. Many years ago, the Discovery Cube, it was when I was first appointed to the CAC. The Discovery Cube gave members of the CAC and board members the opportunity to go there for free and check out their entire operation. And I don't know if that would be something that they would be willing to do again. But I know we have a whole different barrage of people on the CAC now that haven't had that opportunity. And with the 2 new board members, I think that would be fantastic. If it would be possible for you guys to request that they do that again, I think that would be really nice. Thank you.
I will tell you that my visit to the Discovery Cube was because of the coupon that she gave us. And I was able to bring, cheapskate me, I was able to bring the whole family in for free.
I know, those tickets aren't cheap, so that would be awesome. That's a great idea.
All the grandkids.
Well, you're a educator, you and your wife.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, any other items on that? Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's move to item 5. Wait, is Alan taking this?
Yes, Mr. President, Alan Burns, our district council, will be giving us a report.
Hi, Counselor, good morning. You're muted, Counselor.
Good morning, Mr. President. Can you hear me?
Can we maybe tell him to turn off
Okay.
his?
Alan, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to turn off your video. Maybe that will help the bandwidth a little bit
Okay.
because the audio's lagging
Try
just a
calling
tad.
in.
Doesn't say muted.
I will go ahead. Nope. Okay, go ahead, Alan.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. As the board knows, directors are entitled to be paid a per diem sum for each day's service rendered as a director, up to 6 days in 1 month. Is there a slideshow going on at the same time?
Yeah, we
Yes,
got
I
it.
have it up.
Well, Alan,
I think
we're having technical difficulties here. If you can hang on for just a minute.
It just said muted, unmuted.
Yep, there you go. You're unmuted again, Alan.
Okay, let me know if I go silent again, okay?
Yep, give me a second,
You
Alan.
said-
I'm going to go ahead and share the screen so that you can follow along or cue your PowerPoint. Okay. Go ahead.
Good? Okay, thanks. The statute provides that each director is entitled to be paid for meeting of the board and for
I think
each day's
it's not-
service rendered as a director at the second part of it that we've struggled with. Okay? It's difficult, if not impossible, to have a request of the board in sufficient time to have the board act to authorize attendance of the meeting or other event. That's because under the Brown Act, you have to only act at a properly noticed public meeting, and it takes a few days to put together an agenda and to pre-approve certain meetings.
Alan, I'm
That-
sorry. There's
Sure.
something going on with the audio. I don't know if it's our connection with you, but there's a lag in the audio.
Lag in the audio, huh?
Can we get him to call in? You can call in on Zoom, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Can. Do you want to call in, Alan?
Sure.
Yeah, let's use your phone. I will send you the number for the meeting right now.
I'm gonna take a break.
Yeah, we're going to take
let's do that.
If this doesn't work, we can always just push this to the next meeting
That-
too,
I
with
was
him
gonna
in
say-
person.
if this isn't going to work, let's bring it to the board meeting. Excuse me? Oh, this is not working.
Right.
Let's just go ahead and postpone it.
Is Rob good?
To travel or you
Okay.
No,
Ellen?
we just stayed.
Yeah.
And we, still, family was really good. Because the other families.
College.
Ellen has dropped off.
Yeah. You have two,
Oh.
spots, right?
Ellen, the board has asked that we continue this item to the meeting of the 26th, if that's possible. That way you'll be here in person.
We'll save your cards.
Hey, mics are hot.
Okay, we are back in session. Thank you to the public for your patience with us. We are going to continue item number 5, the compensation provisions, to the board meeting on the 26th. All right. Okay, so thank you. And Alan, if you can hear us, thank you for your patience as well. Moving to closing items, oral communications and director comments. Are there any comments from any of the directors?
Wait, did you say we're not going to discuss item?
Not till the board.
Not till the board meeting. It's being, Alan will be here live on the 26th. Okay, any?
Questions about
Go.
the committee liaison meeting? Can you just confirm where it is? Oh, it's here. Oh, look at that. Thank you. And when would we be able to receive that agenda? Great. I'm excited. Wow, we're hosting.
This room is more comfortable than any of the other rooms, I gotta tell you, especially that last one.
Yes.
What's that?
I
You know,
the
there's
cities
this
is
this
pretty
little
good.
competition amongst the
I
different.
like that.
Over breakfast. We always win.
I think the city should provide the breakfast at every meeting.
Yeah, whoever has the biggest
Why don't you
budget.
bring that up at the, okay, other comments? The only comment I have is on the 22nd, we start our meetings with the general manager, the 2 board members. This month, it's Director Uten and myself meeting with Scott on the 22nd. I'd encourage you to go to those if you can. That meeting with Scott is always beneficial in getting us prepared on a lot of things. So
Yeah.
I think those invites have all been sent out. I know we had to change some of yours, Nicole, or all yours. So please go to those if you can. And if there's no other comments, Bob, sorry.
The general manager's compensation needs to be done expeditiously.
Thank you. At the board meeting, I will be passing out your, Scott and I have already met on his goals. So at the board meeting, I'll be passing out his goals to you. What's that? And it'll be on the agenda. Thank you. But I'll be passing out at the board meeting, your evaluation forms for the general manager. So those will be handled at the end of the month.
Well, in the past, I've recommended that the general manager's goals be tied to the strategic plan. And so
I think you will see that.
All right.
Nice.
We finally listened to you, Bob. There's some new ones on there that I think are very, very interesting, and Scott's put some work into it, so we'll handle all that at the board meeting. Okay, then we are adjourned to the board meeting on the 26th and to the February 10th study session. That we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.